recording on so that those who miss can catch it. Okay. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Patyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Akhandam Sachidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Vishta Siddhaye Arthatopi Advayanandan Atita Dvaita Bhanataha Guru Naradya Vedantam Saram Vakshye Yatamati. Okay, so we saw the nature of gross bodies, etc. Okay, now that we have seen. We saw the limit of superimposition also, right? 121, yeah. So we have seen all that. So when we are talking about superimposition, generally we talk about superimposition, we are taking the individual, therefore body, mind, etc. But here he has talked about superimposition of the whole universe on Brahman. That is why that extensive description. So there are theories of creation now propounded. This is the most acceptable theory that is propounded. Okay? And this theory of creation is accepted by other philosophies like Buddhism, Taoism, Shinto, etc. with minor variations here and there. There are variations, of course. It's also accepted in Ayurveda for treatment, etc. etc. Most popular. But you have to remember one thing. The theory of creation is not presented to establish creation. The theory of creation is presented to prove that the whole creation is Nitya. What is there is only one Satyam Brahman. This is the theory of creation is not to prove the reality of creation. In fact, he is calling it Adhyaropaha, Adhyasaha. Whatever is Adhyasa is Nitya. Because it exists depending upon the real. Therefore, the whole thing, with all its functional validity, remember the functional validity, we are talking across multiple dimensions. He is presenting something across multiple dimensions. Therefore, functional validity is high. We are not only talking about what you are seeing now, what you are experiencing now, but even what is there hereafter. All those things are taken into account. Life here, hereafter, other dimensions, yugas, lakhs of years, the whole thing is taken care of. When you talk about all this, it is easy to mistake it all as real. No. Adhyaropaha. This is the extension of Adhyasa at the totality level. And one has to see the Mithyatvam of the whole thing. Maybe a good idea for you all to go back and look at the 4 definitions of Mithya I posted on the group some time back. Okay. I had presented 4 definitions of Mithya on this group. Vikari, Anityatvam, all that, so many things, 4 are different standpoints we had covered. Abhi wo dekho, baat mein dekho. It's all there in the group. So, this is now the general superimposition, that is what you take as Vyavaharika. Vyavaharika meaning it has a certain objectivity. This is your functioning universe. But because it is mithya, you can look at it differently as well. You can look at it differently. That is why science has its own paradigms, its own definitions, its own way of looking at the universe. And they claim to be more valid because there is some sort of experimental verification. But the moment you say it has to be observed, it has to be experimentally verified, and it has to be replicated, these are some of the fundamental points of science, then you have to make it a very narrow focus. You cannot even talk of prana, forget mind, for the mind is only brain. The information organizing capacity of the brain is called mind. They don't even look at it as software, hardware division. So then you have to be very limited in your viewpoint, which is fine. Science has its own function to fulfill. Science has its own function to fulfill. Therefore, it is doing fine within that function. Within that definition, they are doing a good job. But within that definition, you are never going to come to the building block of creation. Not possible. And many of the top scientists recognize that. But they are caught up in their paradigm all their lives. Now they don't know how to look at it differently. They try to look at different Buddhist and Vedantic paradigms and see whether they can make some sense out of it. So this is the adhyasa with respect to the whole universe. Now, for moksha, what is important also is to see the adhyasa with respect to the I.
So, can I disturb you or later?
You have a question, Sashi?
Yes.
Shoot.
So this building block of creation, I need to get it.
What is the fundamental matter for creation? What is the final particle? Like atoms, particles, etc. What is the final particle? Yeah. Because they can't accept the Panchabhuta models. Because the bhutas will be translated as elements, which is a wrong translation, but that's the closest you can get. And then they will say it is not an element. First you translate it wrongly, and then you say it's not an element. But you don't have that concept in your this thing. What are we going to do? Use the word bhutas. But even among Indians, there's a problem. You use a bhutas, they think it is some spirit.
Buddha is ghost.
Panchabhutas are ghosts.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So these problems come up because it is trying to intermesh cultures, a culture which has a paradigm and a culture which doesn't have a similar paradigm. So to understand this thing will be difficult. It calls for invention of new terms, understanding each other's terminology, etc. But science today is taking a similar stand to what the church took in ancient Europe during the 15th and the 16th century. If it is not in the Bible, we can't accept it. What Islam is taking now, or even now, if it is not there in the Quran, it is wrong. So science is taking the same this thing. If it cannot be scientifically verified, it is wrong. It doesn't exist. Refer back to my article, The Tyranny of Science. Okay. The church has evolved and changed to accept a lot for science and other aspects change. Islam still has to evolve if it can. The way it is going, it doesn't look like, but if it can. Yeah. All right. Now, The reality is Brahman Atma, which is not available for your perception, fivefold perception. Therefore, there is no data available to make any inferential conclusions. But that doesn't prevent people from trying to make some conclusions. Everyone in the world is a philosopher, including that uneducated beggar sitting in front of the temple, asking for alms. I have even talked to those people for getting feedback. This is not. I have talked to scientists on one end, and I have talked to these people also on the other side. Because there is a temple, I go in, and I go for a walk, etc. I drop in. You know, acha. So there is this guy sitting in front. So I give him some alms, some food, some money, whatever. Then one day I asked him, आप इधर बैठते हैं ना, भगवान को विश्वास करता है साहब? क्या भगवान है? भगवान रहते तो हम लोग को ये हालत में थोड़ी बनाता था। मूर्ति है, पत्थर है, लेकिन ठीक है, हमारा तो कुछ खाना पीना हो जाता है। ये दुनिया क्या है? अरे दुनिया ऐसा ही है साहब, किधर से आया कुछ है, सोचता है, सोच के क्या करेगा, किधर से भी आया रहेगा, ऐसे ही है। और आप क्या है? हम तो भिखारी है। Now look at him. He has an opinion whether God is there or not. He has an opinion about the world. He has an opinion about himself. You, world and God. He has an opinion of. That's philosophy. That's religion, isn't it? So everyone has their own philosophies. Now some have been logically built up. Some philosophies have been logically built up. And have some people who accept that philosophy, live by that. Okay? And live by that. They are considered as schools of thought, schools of philosophy, schools of thought. Okay? Though in the academic circles, Vedanta is also put as a philosophy, strictly speaking, it is not philosophy. It's a pramana, a means of knowledge. Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramana, we saw that in the first verse. Is Vedanta a religion? Vedanta is part of Sanatana Dharma, but it is the fact behind religions on the whole. So it has a very different position. The same thing can be said about the Vedic religion, what is popularly known as Hinduism, Hindutva, Sanatana Dharma, etc. The same thing can be said. To say it's only a way of life is not enough. Is not enough. But Swamiji, a High Court judge said that. So what? A High Court judge is not an expert in religion. He is an expert in law. He is an expert in law, I'll accept that. People like us are the experts in religion and Vedanta and not them. Because there are religious practices, etc. So it is a religion and a way of life, both. Both. Now, what will happen if you try to philosophically build up an opinion about the Atma which is not available for perception, inference, etc.? It will become purely speculative. So we will call them speculative philosophies, and these speculative philosophies are looked upon as Purva-paksha to Vedanta, as arguments against Vedanta. I am sure some of these philosophies were set up by Vedantins themselves as a challenge to Vedanta, so that students studying this will develop their thinking and their ability to challenge their understanding. This is important. And it is time now for modern challenges to come up from science, etc. To challenge the understanding of Vedanta so that the students can. That's why I always encourage people to get some scientific insights, to read some books on basic science, etc. So that these are the modern challenges. Okay. But let us look at some of the, in the next section. Remember, this was written in the 18th century. He is looking at some of the special superpositions. Because each speculative philosophy is a special adhyasa on the Atma. It's a special adhyasa on the Atma. So, there he is looking at some of them. Alright. So, from verse 122, chapter 3. Idanim pratyagatmani idam ayam aropita iti visheshaha uchyate. Idanim, now. What are we going to do now? Pratyagatmani, with respect to the pratyagatma. I am iti aropita iti. You have taken the I as this. Whatever the I is taken as. Iti visheshataha uchyate. This special superimposition we are going to talk about. What can be the special superimposition? According to science, you are a product of matter. According to economics, you are a consuming unit, consuming productive unit. According to biology, you are an evolutionary specimen. I like that term. You are evolutionary specimens. So you can have like this various opinions. Okay, various opinions.
Biology, what is the opinion? I missed it.
Evolutionary specimen. Sashi, it's a joke. You understand it as a joke.
It's nice.
Alright. Therefore, he says, now he is starting. Now look at it. All these speculations will have to be based on some experience of yours, isn't it? Either an experience or a constructed philosophy, a philosophical construct. So he is starting with your experience. What is the simplest, most universal experience of all human beings? And the body. Nobody can deny that. Therefore, he starts from there. He says, Ati prakritaha tu. In fact, he is starting with one step more. Based again on your experience. What is that? Not only with the body, with other than the body he is starting. What can be other than the body? We will see. That's why he is saying, Ati prakritaha. Thoda, ekdam gauti. That's the term, exact translation if you want. Non-thinkers. Complete non-thinkers. Ati prakritaha tu. Atma vai jayate putraha. Now he is quoting a Shruti. Atma eva jayate putra. You are born as your son. What the scriptures mean is, from your body the child is born naturally. Ityadishte. Smasmin eva putre api prema darshana. Not only that, you have a great love to your child. Again universal. Child is born, you have great love. You feel that bonding, etc. Putre pushte nashte cha ahameva pushtaha nashtaha. Ityadi anubhavacha. And your anubhava. The child is happy, I am happy. Putre pushte, aham pushte. Putre nashte, if something happens to the child, oh my God, what happened to me? Putre. Everyone feels that, okay? Ati prakrita we are saying, but to an extent everybody feels this. Universal anubhava. when the mother sends the child to the first day of school and keeps telling the child, please be careful, please be careful, please be careful, what is the mother meaning? She's saying be careful, but what is the hidden communication there? Beta, if anything happens to you, I don't know what will happen. And what is the message the child is getting? World is dangerous and I can't handle it. Therefore, putre pushte aham pushta, putre nashte aham nashta, ityadi anubhavacha, putraha atmedi vadati, the child is myself, mere jaan hai. There are a lot of things which you will say that mere jaan hai. First it was a partner, then it becomes your child. Partner gets slightly displaced. Universal anubhava, okay? If you observe society, you will find this is true. In Bombay, working mothers have another jaan. Working mothers. What is that? Maid. I can do without my husband, I can't do without my maid. Therefore, we have to add Ati Prakrita tu maid eva atma. Jokes apart. Jokes apart. Nobody says that, okay, that I am that. But the idea is you behave as though the Atma has got transferred there. Ati Prakrita. Okay? Extremely dull-witted. Extremely dull-witted, now that comes with the rider, isn't it? It's a working woman who's saying that. Maid is my jaan. I can do without my husband, I can't do without my maid. It's a joke, okay? Take it as a joke, don't take it too seriously. But every joke has got some hidden thing in it, okay? Some hidden reality. Yeah, some hidden reality. So, for all the men here, if you want to be indispensable in your wives' lives, do some of the maid's duties. You will become indispensable in her life. Okay, it's all in cute humor, don't take it too seriously that I am sexist, I am racist, okay, nothing of that sort, okay? Alright. But our behavior is like this, that I behave as though I am not an independent being, that has taken over my life. For some people it is house has taken over their life. The house is meant for me, I am not meant for the house. But the way you behave and the way you keep their house, etc., is as though you are meant for the house. I know this family, they stay very close to me. The bedrooms, the family room, the kitchen, etc., are like normal like any other family. Means normal means what? It will be clean, but thoda little bit, it's lived in. So thoda messy will be there. Not as messy as my house, mine is a bachelor pad, but little bit messy it will be. That's lived in place. The drawing room is kept spick and span. Never opened, never used. 500 square feet of room is never used. 1/3 of the house is not used at all. Only when important guests come, that room is opened up. Drawing room eva atmaha. Why? That is not meant for me. I told that the daughter of the house was known to me. I said, you have such a fantastic drawing room. How come you never use it? No. So, don't take it badly. That is reserved for special guests. Because I was sitting in the family room, okay? And having a cup of tea with the family. Don't take it wrong. But no, that is kept for special guests. I said, okay, I understand, don't worry. I'm the guy next door, so not a problem. Okay. I don't have issues with this. Okay. पकड़ है, ऋषिकेश के पकड़ है, बॉम्बे के नुक्कड़ में रहता हूँ और क्या, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Okay. But this is the behavior. And then the grandchildren come and they want to jump on that sofa. Oh my God, you should see that lady. She gets a heart attack almost. So I tell the son, hey, get your kids and come out to my house. But they jump all over the sofa. So what? Sofa is meant for the kids. Kids are not meant for the sofa. They'll get bad. Let it get bad. No, क्या फर्क पड़े? Spring change करने का ना कर लेगा. Cushion change करने का ना कर लेगा. What's the big deal? Or let it be like that. What difference is it? As long as you can sit on it with a relative degree of comfort, you are fine. If the springs come out and poke you or something, okay, then you change. Yeah. But people, all this is what? Ati prakrita. Your behavior is as though you are not the independent entity, all that rule your life. The Acharya here, Swami Sadananda, kept it to Putre Pushte Nashte. I am extending it in the modern world to other things because every Acharya looks at the society that he is living in and sees what is happening. Does it happen with everyone? Of course not. It doesn't happen with everyone. That's why he says Ati Prakritaha. So if it happens with you, you have to understand that you are in thinking, there is some dullness coming in. Dullness coming in. Lack of viveka coming in. Now, he doesn't even bother much to dismiss this. Why? It's obvious that it is dismissible. So he doesn't spend any time dismissing this thought. Well, it's obvious it is dismissible. Okay. Then he starts with the first established school of philosophy called the Charvaka. There are 4 levels of Charvaka. All of them Charvakas, but 4 levels. The Charvaka of India corresponds to the sophists in the Greek philosophy. The word sophisticated has come from the word sophists. So nowadays sophisticated is a compliment. Those days sophisticated was not a compliment. Why? Because the sophists believed in only one thing. Khao, piyo, maja karo. Why bother about anything else? So the Indian was a Charvaka. They are called mechanical materialists. If you want a translation into a commonly accepted English word, you can translate them as mechanical materialists. Why? Because dialectical materialists are communists. When you say dialectical materialism, you are referring to communism. Okay. So now you have a lot of materialists, okay? One is dialectical materialism, one is mechanical materialism or natural materialism, the other is scientific materialism. Okay? Because science is also a materialistic school, because you believe everything is come out of matter. So it becomes a materialistic school. Alright, now what does the Charvaka say? These are all special adhyasas, okay? What does the Charvaka say? First, the Shruti, the misquoting of the Shruti. Savaesha Purushaha Annarasamayaha. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, we have seen this. When he is talking about, after having established Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman as the Atma, to show that the whole world is imposed on the Atma, he says, Tasmat, Etasmat Atmanaha Akasha Sambhutaha Akashat Vayor, Vayor Agnihi, Agnerapa, Adhya Prithvi, all the Panchabhutas. Then he says, Prithivibhyaha Oshadi, Oshadibhyaha Annam, Savaesha Purusha Annarasamayaha. because you eat that food. From the Prithvi comes Oshadhi's plant life, and from plant life you get your food, and from your food you make the body. Therefore, Anna Rasamayaha, first level of mistake. In Taittiriya, it is presented as the first level of mistake, because after that he says Anyontaratma. This is not the real Atma, this is another Atma. But here, he was only quoting that much because convenient for him. And then he says, Ityadi Shruti. Now look at it. This Charvaka is dismissing the previous Charvaka who said, Putreva Atma. He says, Pradipta Grihat. So Putram Parityajya api Swasya Nirgama Darshana. You see one thing. The house has caught fire. Everyone runs out of the home. Everyone runs out of the house. Unless you have some awareness about what to do in case of fire, etc., you run out. And then you suddenly remember, this guy suddenly remembers, what? Not everyone, you are talking about these type of people. Suddenly remember, oh my God, my child is missing, child is stuck in there. Will someone say, please save my child, someone please save my child. Your child, why don't you go inside? He'll appeal to all the fire brigade. Please, my child is trapped, he is in that bedroom there. Therefore, Nirgama Darshan. Since such experiences are available, he says what? And other experiences. Stuloham, Krishoham, Ityadi, Anubhavacha. What is that? Stuloham. I put on some weight, I become fat. Lockdown hai na? Not enough exercise. Thora mota ban gaya. Stuloham. Krishoham. What to do yaar? My parents were short, I am also short. 5.5 foot ka aadmi. Krishoham. Okay. Alright. Or Krishoham means thin. I am thin. Lockdown maid was not there, this was not there. I was doing all the housework, cooking, this, that, etc. I have lost some weight. Now I have become thin, which everyone is very happy with if you have. So, Stuloham, Krishoham, iti anubhavacha. Sula sharira eva atma iti vadati. Okay. Sula sharira eva atma. The body is the Atma. Then if the body is your Atma, from here the basic philosophy of the Charvaka starts. What is the basic philosophy of the Charvaka? It's a philosophy, okay? There are books written on it in Sanskrit. Therefore, everything written in Sanskrit is not true. Just because it's written in Sanskrit. What is that? Yavat jivet sukham jivet. As long as you live happily. That's a good advice. Live happily. But what is your idea of happiness? Ranam dutva grutam prabhe. Drink ghee, even if you have to have depth, meaning have the good life. Have the good life. Ranam dutva. Khao piyo maja karo. Why? Deheva Atma. Therefore, Bhasmi Bhutasya Dehasya. Once the body has become ashes, Punaragamanam Kutaha. Where are you going to come again? There is nothing like the Atma. There is nothing like a Jiva. But the Veda says it. Veda, religion and all are exploitative. They are the priest trying to dominate you. Don't let the priest dominate you, let me dominate you. Communists also talk similarly. In dismissal of religion, both the materialists meet very well. That's all domination of the priests. They are meant for, because they want to line their pockets, they are saying all this. But what about the sadhus, etc., who walk out? Idiots, foolish characters. खाने पीना मजा करने का बोलते भिक्षा में क्या है ये? In the cold, they are sitting and meditating. किसके लिए? Useless characters, lotus eaters. Lotus eaters. But what about you? Setting up an industry, you have to make money. For what? खाओ पियो मजा करो. और किसके लिए पैसा है? Don't pay taxes. Avoid as much as possible. Why? The government is unnecessarily using your money here. Taxes क्यों pay करने? Why should the government have a right over my money? Therefore, I will take a loan from the government is taking taxes from me. I am going to take a loan from the government and run away. Get away from my debtors. Get away from the rule of law. खाओ पियो मजा करो बस हो गया. चारवाका they are philosophizing, having a good time. What they think is a good time. Forgetting that there is always a price to be paid for that type of a good time. I am not against a good time. See, no Vedantin is ever against a good time. You may have seen skinny yogis. Have you seen skinny Vedantins? Unless they are living in Rishikesh, you won't see skinny Vedantins. तो खाके पी के मजा है ना? They never good life, but they know their limits also. Skinny yogis you will see, that's quite common. Why? You can't eat this, you can't eat that, you have to live on sprouts, you have to live on the 4 hours before practice I have to be empty stomach, 2 hours after practice I have to be empty stomach. गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. If you look at all, then you will be able to eat only 1 meal a day or maximum 2 meals a day. But you look at Vedanta, so it's not that we don't believe in having a decent life. For us, that doesn't matter. We can have a good life, have a good life. We can't, don't. Keep for a pain. That's a different thing. That's a different thing. But here, you have made a philosophy out of it. Therefore, because your view, this is what is important. Your view is Deheva Atma. If Deha is your Atma, you don't have to bother about anything. There is no ethics, there is no morality, there is no value system, there is no dharma. Why do you need dharma? Why do you need dharma? Only if you are taking a long-term perspective, even in business, only if you are taking a long-term perspective will you have some ethics of business ethics will come into the picture. Only if you take a long-term perspective. If you are thinking only for a couple of years, and most CEOs nowadays are hired only for a couple of years, it is bad. You are only thinking of immediate. The companies won't survive. Change happens, disruptive technology comes in, the company will collapse. That we are seeing it happening all over. Seeing it happening all over. But long-term ethics, etc., then everything comes into the picture. But there is no what long-term here. I mean, until 15, 16, I couldn't enjoy life because I was too much controlled. Now I have started working, this, that, etc. I left school, I am earning money, etc. Let me enjoy. But after 60, where I can enjoy? अब तो बिल्कुल बूढ़ा हूँ, गोली खाकर जीता हूँ. I let it be like that. Yeah, if you live like how a Charvaka is living, definitely at 60 you will be like that. But you'll have high BP, you'll have cholesterol, you'll have diabetes, you'll have everything. Arthritis, gout, everything you'll have. People ask me, they know I love sweets, which is true, I love sweets. Chocolate especially, and all types of sweets, no acids. So much so that my older students know Older students who are South Bombay students, etc. They know. What? That when they come back from a trip abroad, they have to pay immigration tax. What is immigration tax? A bar of chocolate for you. Okay. Okay. Jokes apart. Jokes apart. Okay. So they asked me, some of you like sweet, but you are taking only so little. I said, yes. Why? I want to be able to eat. I am supposed to have a long life and I want to eat my sweets all through my life. Therefore, I won't abuse my system by having too much of it. I will have a little bit of it. That is entirely a different perspective. That is not the Charvaka perspective. Charvaka perspective is khao piyo maja karo right here. You don't enjoy a drink, you get drunk. There is a huge difference between enjoying a drink and getting drunk. I am not advocating either, please don't think that when I say the difference that I am advocating. I am neither advocating nor against. People are adult enough to make their own choices. There is a difference between eating good food and hogging like a pig. The Charvakas believe in the second one. Okay? All of that. Therefore, khao piyo maja karo. Therefore, what happens in this philosophy? What is moksha? Moksha is right now here. You can challenge Milton with this philosophy. Okay? Or you can agree with Milton. The mind in itself and its own place can create a heaven out of hell or a hell out of heaven. Khao piyo maja karo. That's all your moksha is about. What does your scripture say about moksha? I am Ananda, etc. Abhi abhi mein Ananda hu. Yeah, you create heaven here. My religion talks about houris being available in heaven. So I will get them here only, na? Udhar kyun jane ke? Charvaka philosophy. Okay? Understand that this is more prevalent than we think it is. People may not articulate it, but they live like that. That's why I'm spending some time on it. Okay? Then, alright, this is one Charvaka. How do you dismiss him? Don't worry. The second school of Charvaka will dismiss this. Why? What is the second stage of Charvaka here? Apara Charvaka. Taha prana prajapatim pitaram ityachuhu ityadi shrutehe indriyanam abhave sharira chalana abhava kanoham badiroham ityadi anubhavacha indriyanam atmeti vadati. Other schools. The sense organs are the Atma. Okay? Or the prana is the Atma. Okay? Here he is taking it as prana is quoting the prana, but he is taking sense organs as the Atma. Why? He says all the pranas went to Prajapati because they wanted to have a discussion. Okay? All the sense organs went to Prajapati. Therefore, there is an independent life shown to the sense organs. There is the devatas of the sense organs, okay, not the sense organs. Okay. He says ityadi shrute and indriyanam abhave. If my sense organs are not there, can I have deha charana? Can I function with my body? No eyes, ears, nose, mouth, etc. No hands, legs, etc. What I will be? I can't function. Therefore, sense organs are the Atma. Organs of action also included. Okay? And not only that, you make self-judgment based on that. Kanoham, I have only one eye. Badiroham, I can't hear, I am deaf. There is a self-judgment. I am deaf. I am blind. Therefore, eye is equated to sense organs. Ityadi anubhavacha. Therefore, Shruti is quoted, Anubhava is quoted. Logic is also given. What is the logic? Sense organs indriyanam abhave, deha charanam abhava. Because sense organs are not there, functioning is not there. Therefore, Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava. Three factors necessary for establishing something. Shruti is the scripture, Yukti is your logic, Anubhava is your experience. Therefore, all of them is being quoted here. Now, sense organ is the Atma, dismisses Dehoham Atma. This next step dismisses the previous. Like how Dehoham iti Atma dismissed Putreva Atma. So similarly here, sense organ is Atma, dismisses the previous school. This is called elimination rounds. Whether you are playing tennis or you are playing or you are boxing or MMA, all elimination rounds, okay? One guy knocks out the other guy, or a points victory over the other guy, gone, chalo. You have gone off this guy, he is the one to be beaten. Elimination. Alright? Alright, okay. No. Then, and even if you take sense organ as the Atma, does your basic philosophy of Charvaka change? No. Read good things, see good, beautiful things, animate, inanimate, both. See beautiful things, hear nice things, music, etc. Have nice smells, perfumes, cosmetics, whatever. Feel good things on my skin. Skin to skin, no sin. The same logic continues. Same logic continues. The Charvaka logic doesn't go. Only standpoint is shifted. That's all. Alright. Then another Charvaka comes into the picture. Apara Charvaka tu Anyontaratma Pranamaya Ityadi Shrute Prana Bhavaha Indriyadi Charana Ayoga Aham Ashnayavan Aham Pipasavan Ityadi Anubhavacha Prana Atmeti Vadate. Prana Atmeti Vadate. Other Charvakas take Prana Eva Atma. Prana is Atma. Why Prana is Atma? Because Shruti first. What is that? Anyontaratma Pranamaya. Taittiriya. Same Taittiriya Shruti is taking. Not the body, there is another Atma called Pranamaya. He is quoting that. Ityadi Shruti. Logic. Prana Bhavaha Indriyanam Chalanam Ayoga. If prana is not functioning, you are not functioning. How can your sense organs function? Stop your prana if you can. Breathing is life. Therefore, the art of breathing is the art of life. People who speak like that. People who speak like that. I am not saying breathing is not important to your life. That's not what Vedanta is saying. But prana is not the Atma. Even those who are studying energy work, pranic healing, Tai Chi, Qigong, etc., don't mistake prana as the Atma, okay? Why? Because we all say the prana has to be guided by emotions and thinking. You have to guide the prana. That means what? Prana is not an independent functionary. But here he is taking, because without the prana, sense organs can't function, prana is the Atma. And Anubhava, Aham Ashnayavan. I'm feeling, I'm hunger itself here. I'm so hungry I can eat a whole bull. I'm hungry. I am thirsty. Pipasa. I am hungry. I am thirsty. Ityadi Anubhavacha. Because of this Anubhava, prana is taken as the Atma. Therefore, prana eva Atma dismisses Indriyanam Atma. Basic philosophy remains the same. Your hunger and thirst and all other functions. Therefore, khao, piyo, maja karo, that goes on. Eat good food, drink all you want. Enjoy all pranic activities. Enjoy all pranic activities. Have a great time. Same, the Charvaka philosophy continues. Pranayama Atma doesn't change that. Unless you are trying to discipline your prana. That's a different thing. Like in yoga, Qigong, pranic healing, to an extent Reiki, all these things. where you are going to get a control and mastery. There you are not taking prana eva atma. You are taking a different stand. You are the atma. What the atma is not defined in many of these systems, and prana is something that you have to control. That's a different picture altogether. That's a different picture altogether. We'll come to that. Okay. Shoot. Now, 125 talks about sense organs. 125 talks about sense organs. 126 is talking about prana. Yeah. We are not talking about koshas here. Drop the koshas from your mind. Yeah. We are differentiating between sense organs, prana, etc.
Sorry, one quick question.
Yeah.
Are the Charvakas quoting the Shruti because for convenience, or they also believe truly that it's a pramana?
They don't believe it as a pramanam, but it is like the devil quoting the scriptures. It's convenient, na? Arey, your own scripture is talking about it, then what? Remember, in olden days meaning 18th century and before, okay? Until 1835, when Macaulay changed our education system, there were over a lakh of Gurukulas in India. Therefore, all the Gurukulas gave some basic Vedic education also. Therefore, even the Charvaka was familiar with the Veda. Yeah. Familiar with the Veda. Like how all of us, because we had some basic science in school, have some basic scientific knowledge. No? We won't say earth is flat. We won't say sun goes round the earth. Unless you are learnt in those type of schools, madrasas, where they say that, they don't accept science. Yeah? Ask a mullah there, he'll say, no. What Quran said is science, science is wrong. Unfortunate, but that's it. So, there was some basic scientific knowledge in us, all of us today. Similarly, basic Vedic knowledge was there in all of us. But even though there is basic knowledge, like in school, we were taught about 4 food groups, how your food should include all of them. We are taught about healthy eating, basic, very basic in school. But when you grow up, you don't follow it. You dump it. खाओ पियो मजा करो यार, वो सब स्कूल का है, कौन बॉदर करता है. The same way the Charvaka did. He has familiarity with the Veda, but he jumped it. But he can quote it when necessary. He's smart enough to quote it when necessary. In fact, maybe someday I should do that. Take a small booklet of the Charvaka and you'll see, oh my God, the logic is so beautiful. Yeah. He can speak very convincingly. That is why he is called Charu Vakaha. Charu meaning honey. Vakaha, speech. Honey tongue. You know? Charu Vaka literally means honey tongue, honeyed words. Sweet talker. He is a sweet talker. He will talk you into anything. He will talk you into anything. That way. Sweet talker. Okay. Ityadi anubhav. Therefore, prana atma. Therefore, the prana atma has dismissed the previous character. Alright. So, another Charvaka comes. Therefore, from your body, prana, mind, all of them is Charvakas. Okay? If you take body, even if you take mind is you, Charvaka. Why? Here. Anyasu Charvakaha, Anyontratma Manomayaha, Ityadi Shrutehe, Manasi Suptehe, Pranadehi Abhavad, Aham Sankalpavan, Aham Vikalpavan, Ityadi Anubhavacha, Mana Atmeti Vadati. Mana Atmeti Vadati. Okay. This Charvaka takes mind is the Atma. You come a long way from body is Atma to mind is the Atma. Why? Taittiriya Upanishad, Anyantaratma Manomaya. He is present there. Another Atma Manomaya. And logic. When Manasi Supte Sati, when you are fast asleep, do you experience hunger and thirst? Fast asleep, not dreaming. Fast asleep. No. Therefore, the mind is there, prana function. Mind is not there, prana will not function. Except you will be kept alive by breathing, etc. That is Sukshma Vritti. Mind is there in what? Your subconscious mind is functioning. That's their logic, okay? Therefore, Maneva, the logic for it. And your this thing, Sankalpavan, Vikalpavan Asmi. I am the one who is feeling, I love this, I don't like that, I hate that, I prefer this, I have to choose this, I decide this. All this is there in you. In fact, you are living by your emotional life only. What life are you living? When you say living a life, it's emotional life only. Is your married life intellectual or emotional? If it is intellectual, you won't have a married life. Okay, be careful. Yeah, just imagine a case. The wife comes and tells the husband, I love you. And the husband says, that is a very interesting proposition. I would like to see what exactly led you to that conclusion. Come on, yaar, I married you. But marriage can happen as an arrangement. There is no necessity for an emotional component. She said, thank you for telling me, I am walking out. So, life is emotional life. Parenting is based on emotion. Your enjoyment of life is based on emotion. Your holidays are based on emotion. Your work is based on emotion. Why do you leave jobs? Job was good, everything was good. Pain to work there. No joy, no happiness. Character useless. Bad boss. Feeling on your emotion, no? Correct or not? Your life is emotional. Therefore, Maneva Atma. Now their conclusion mein gadbad hota hai. My emotions are important is one thing. I am my emotions is another thing. Therefore, Maneva Atma. And if Maneva Atma, the Charvaka philosophy still holds good. Khao piya maja karo, do what you want. Can you see? Up to here, the Charvaka philosophy holds good. It's important to see that. Up to here, ethics, this, that, etc. are no picture. I live by what I feel. Human beings will feel. You should live by your feelings. What about your choices? Oh, all based on feelings only. And you think we are empowered. We are not empowered. As long as we are at this level, we are leading a pleasure-centered life where there is no empowerment. There is no real empowerment. There is an illusion of empowerment. I'm doing what I want. I'm doing what makes me happy. That is the thing. You know? It's an illusion. I agree you should do what makes you happy. I'm not denying that. But that doesn't mean moment-to-moment feelings. You can't live a life like that. If you live a life like that, you become a Charvaka. Then where is moksha for a Charvaka? Good, feeling good. You know, it's all about feeling good. Therefore, that's uncomfortable. Do yoga, oh my God. You are expected to sit down and touch your toes without bending your knees. It's so painful, I don't want to do it. Okay, don't do yoga. They tie yourself up into knots. Ardha Matsyendrasan is a pain. Imagine Purva Matsyendrasan kya ho jayega. Okay, do. Go for a run. Run? My God. I tried that and my whole body was paining for 3 days after that. Feelings. Do some weight training. Go to the gym, join a gym, do some weight training. Weight training? I have a maid to carry my shopping basket. What are you talking about? Weight training. 2 kilos of shopping I don't carry. Charvakas, all of them. They may be appalled to think of themselves as Charvaka if you tell the philosophy to them, but the behavior is like that. Behavior is like that. Therefore, it is good to examine behavior of my own behavior to see where I fit in. But here, it is not only behavior, it's also thinking and a judgment. I have been focusing a little bit on the behavior, but understand, it is also a process of thinking and a conclusion. That is important. Because the philosophy you are committed to. Therefore, there is a definite conclusion there. I am the mind. We are not, now many people behave like that because it's a subconscious conclusion. A sahajam, a natural conclusion without thinking. Naturally, we behave like that. Because everyone behaves like that. I grew in a society like that, I am also behaving like that. Sahajam. Or it can be thought out, and here in this case, as a philosophy, it is thought out. You have thought elaborately and concluded wrongly. Charvakas have thought about it. They have thought elaborately, concluded wrongly. You know, my guru used to give a very nice, rustic example for this. Many of our village homes have small doors. The home may be big, but the door will be small. The main entrance will be small. There are various reasons for it. Okay? There are physical reasons. So that a big animal cannot walk in. They had defensive reasons about it. So an attacker coming in is difficult. Why? Because he has to bend down, etc. He is not in his powerful stance. Therefore can be knocked out or killed. Defensive reason. They had a spiritual reason also. When you are entering someone's house, bow down and enter. So you have, naturally you have to, a natural bow happens because the door is locked. There is a spiritual reason for it. So an American friend of mine came to see my village home. And he is 6 footer. For Indians they have to bow down. Imagine 6 feet plus what happens. 6 feet is average American height. Middling height it is called. Below 5'8" you are short. It's only above 6 you are considered tall. And this guy is 6'4". That time I warned him because 6'4", his head will be chopped off at that door. So I tell him, be careful. There's a low door, you have to bow when you enter. So he starts bending 5 feet before the door. And he puts up his head exactly at the door. This is called thinking elaborately and concluding wrongly. Okay. You bent and took 5 steps and stood up straight exactly at the door. So he made 5 steps of logic and concluded wrongly. This is my teacher's example, okay? How can I not remember my teacher when I am teaching? Therefore, this is it. Alright. Up to here, experiential skills, very basic skills. After this, the philosophers start. Up to here is pretty basic. After this, the philosophers start. He first take up the Buddhists. Okay. In Buddhism, there are 2 schools. Okay. In Buddhism, there are 2 schools of thought. One is the Kshanika Vijnanavadins and the other is the Shunyavadins. Now, why are we taking up Buddhism? Remember one thing. In the Vedic tradition, the Hindu tradition, in Hindutva also, we respect Buddha as an avatara. Even Shankara, in his Bhashya, when he dismisses Buddhism, etc., he calls Buddha Sugataha, Tathagataha. These are the names given by Hindus, Sanskrit speakers, to Buddha, not Pali speakers. These are Sanskrit terms. Sugataha, meaning Sushtu Gatam Jnanam Yasya. One whose knowledge is very beautiful, very correct, clean cut. Is a wise person. Tathagataha, Tat, the reality, Agatam, Yena, one who has understood the reality, Tathagataha. These are the meanings of the terms. You think Tathagat is a Buddhist term. No, it's a Sanskrit term. It's a Buddhist term, all right, but given by the Sanskrit speakers. Tathagataha, Sugataha, etc. Therefore, Buddhists in there, Buddhists, as far as Buddha is concerned, are namaskaras to him. No issues. But Buddhism as a school of philosophy, the first book on Buddhism was written 500 years after Buddha's death. After Buddha's Samadhi, 500 years after Buddha's Samadhi, the first book on Buddhism was written. It was written by Nagarjuna. Two great writers were there. One was main was Nagarjuna, another was Ashwagosha, or otherwise known as Avagosha also. Two main writers. So Kshanikavada, Shunyavada, etc. were propounded by the later writers. And one of the first things that they did to propound these schools was the fact that Buddha kept quiet when he was asked about the Atma, which is written history. Okay, that when Buddha was asked about the Atma or God, he kept quiet. He didn't answer. Now there is a problem with silence. What is that? It can be interpreted as you want. The child asked the mother at dinner time. Okay, in 10 minutes they are going to sit down for dinner. She is just eating up the food. And the child asks, Mummy, can I have a piece of chocolate? And the mother just looks at the kid, doesn't say anything because she is eating up dinner. The child should understand. But the child says what? Mother didn't say anything, that means I can eat. Or mother didn't say, therefore I can't eat. You can have both interpretations. No? Therefore, silence can be interpreted. Words are interpreted according to what the listener likes. Then what about silence? So, Buddha's silence was interpreted like this by some of the writers who propounded Buddhism. Buddha didn't create Buddhism. Buddha was looked upon as one of the acharyas of our tradition. He gave sannyasa to a lot of people, therefore there was a Sangha. But the Sangha never called themselves Buddhists until recently. Until recently, in fact, even under the constitution, etc., Buddhism, Jainism, etc., are considered offshoots of Hinduism. Now, when the writer wants to create a separate identity, like Nagarjuna or Ashwagosha or the other writers, they have to say something which is different from what the Veda said, what the Upanishad says. It is also true that Buddha, in his compassion, looked out at some animal sacrifices, etc. And being too ritualistic, which is true. Which I also agree. Don't be too ritualistic. For everything ritual, what? You all. Life is not supposed to be revolving around rituals unless you are a temple priest. Then it is supposed to be. As a common man, you need other things also in your life. No? If you are a temple priest, your life can revolve around rituals. Therefore, Buddha spoke against an over-dependency on the ritualistic aspect. But karma khandanam is done in Vedanta as well. Karmana na mokshaha. We also say it. So Buddha also said it, that by all those rituals you will not gain moksha. Correct. What's wrong in that? What's wrong in that? Rituals are not meant for moksha. Rituals have a twofold purpose. One, immediate gain in terms of whatever the phalam the ritual will give you. Money, child, wealth, marriage, whatever, health, whatever you want. And the other thing, prasada buddhya, etc., antakarna shuddhi. And a worshipful attitude in life because you recognize Ishvara. But that's not enough for moksha. Jnane nevatu kaivalyam. By knowledge again will you gain moksha. That is also made clear in Vedanta. Buddha spoke the same things over the big problem about it. But Buddha did not highlight the moksha aspect in his teachings. He spoke about simple things. Eightfold path, which is exactly from the 6th chapter of the Gita, Yukta ahara viharasya yukta karmasu cheshtasu yukta swapnava bodhasya. And he asked, all proper eating, proper walking, all appropriate moderation in everything. Which is healthy. Which is healthy, isn't it? He himself did a lot of tapas, etc. Found by tapas you are not going to gain moksha. He prepared his mind all right. The character was brought up in the lap of luxury, protected from everything else. The tapas was good for him because it prepared his mind. But he recognized by tapas and fasting, etc., I will not gain moksha. Correct. That is correct. And he advocated a contemplation, a lot of meditations, which is also fine because you need a contemplative mind to understand the truth. So, many things that Buddha talked about was in harmony with our tradition. His, if you want to call it a mistake or his limitation was, he did not speak on the truth. He did not speak about the Atma, Brahman, etc. He did not speak. Therefore, writers who came after him got a chance to interpret that silence as they wanted it. Then other schools of thought also influenced Buddhism. Many Indian practices, like Shaivistic practices, not the philosophy. Shivagama practices, Tantric practices influence Buddhism. You find a lot of that energy work that they do and all the things that the people do in Tibet, in China before communism came in the Shaolin temple, Wudang temple, in the Zen schools in Japan, all of these practices was Tantric practices, Shivagama practices influencing Buddhism. Because meditation. So they took all these practices in. So that is how you have in fact, if you look at the practices in Tibet and China, Buddhistic practices, do you know they have Om chanting in it? Om chanting in meditation. They have it. Yoga influenced Buddhism. Many of our Devi Devatas are there in Buddhism with different names. Like Tara. Tara is a devata worshipped in Tibet and China. Smashana Tara is worshipped by all tantrics, especially those tantrics who try to be aghoris. She is called Smashana Tara. You invoke her as mother figure, the Tara of the cremation ground. Yeah. So, in Buddhism, she is invoked as Green Tara. Because death is also about rejuvenation. Green is the color of rejuvenation. Mother Earth, green color. So, there are a lot of these things. But as a philosophy, unfortunately, Kshanika Vijnanavadin and Shunyavadin came up. I have had debates and discussion with certain Buddhist monks also. Okay? And they accept that Shunya is not really Shunya. Says it cannot be. Those who say it's really Shunya can never reach Shunya. But these two distinct schools came up in Buddhism. So how? And then these have to be answered systematically. So how? What is the Kshanika Vijnanavadin, etc.? All these specialized schools, we will see next class onwards, okay? Yeah. Because if I start now, there is not enough time for it, okay? Only 5 minutes to go. So take care, have a great day. See you all later. Okay? Enjoy yourselves. And unless there are some questions or clarification, you are always welcome to clarify, okay? Yeah. Okay. Glad to see some people who are on holiday back in the class. Good to see that. Yeah, yeah, true. So take care. Have a great time. Yeah.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye, Kamini. Take care.